Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here back with another video, and today we return with college football predictions. Today we'll be focusing on the Texas Longhorns. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Sorry I haven't been uploading for the past few days. Like for the past 3-4 days, I only have the Oklahoma video posted. 2 videos will be today. Later today will be Oregon. Maybe even tonight I'll have another video up depending on how my schedule is. But 2 videos today. We're starting off with Texas. And Texas, they rank 54th in returning production for this upcoming season, which is 68%. They've returned 62% of their offense, which is 77th, and then 74% of the defense, which is 38th in the nation. But even with the defense, you have a lot of seniors coming back. The main one's probably DeMarvin Overshawn, but the team is focused on the offense, and it's very apparent. This quarterback battle heading into the offseason was very intriguing. Yeah, the number 1 recruit last year, well, I don't know, I'm not even sure if he was the number 1 recruit, but a top-tier quarterback, 5-star, and Quinn Ewers. He decided to commit to Ohio State, but after 1 year, he decided to transfer out, and he transferred back to his hometown in Texas. And then last year, I had Casey Thompson and Hudson Card going in and out. Casey Thompson transferred to Nebraska. Hudson Card is still here. But I don't think this is probably Quinn Ewers' job. Steve Sarkisian probably made that very apparent. And I don't know if he can play. He's going to play. He may get redshirted, but Malik Murphy's going to be a beast. I just don't see him playing this year. But this is Quinn Ewers' job to lose, and this is definitely going to be his team throughout the season, in my opinion. But the big thing about this offense, of course, is Bijan Robinson, the best running back in college football. Man is a beast, but they're not going to run the offense through him as much this upcoming season. And maybe his stats will basically say the same production, maybe even better. But I think throughout the season, they're going to be a lot more pass-heavy now that they have a more established quarterback in Quinn Ewers. And this receiving core is great. Xavier Worthy broke out as a true freshman last year, having well over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. They bring back Jordan Whittington. They do lose Joshua Moore, but they do replace him with probably a better receiver in Isaiah Nayer, a transfer from Wyoming. And then from last year at Wyoming, he was an absolute beast. And then they get a transfer in Ajayi Hall. I'm not even sure if he's going to play because he has some off-field issues. If he does play, though, he's probably going to be that 4th wide receiver, as Worthy and Nayer are 100% the top 2, and then Whittington, I don't see him losing that 3rd receiver to Ajayi Hall. But overall, this receiving core is very deep. Well, it's not deep, but it's very good. This offensive line is pretty good as well. Devon Campbell, a 5-star, he could come in day 1 and play a guard and make a big-time impact. So look out for that one. But overall, this offense is going to be very fun to watch. If it's going to lead to wins, that's going to be the only question. Like I said, this defense is returning a lot of starters. The main player probably coming back is Marvin Overshawn in that senior spot. The defensive line is good. The linebacking core is probably the best part of this team. Overshawn and then Luke Brockermeyer both return. The secondary is going to be really good too, as you get in a junior transfer in Ryan Watts from Ohio State. He really wasn't given a chance at Ohio State, so I think when he comes into Texas, he will definitely be one of the 2 starting corners. He's going to make an impact. And then you have senior Desean Jameson. Really hasn't lived up to that 2019 season that he had, but he's still a quality corner. Terrence Brooks will get some playing time too, and Jameer Johnson. So this defense overall should definitely be more improved after a disappointing season last year. But is it going to be top tier? I don't know. I'm going to say no, but there could be some switches around that as well. And now as we look at the schedule for Texas, they have some pretty big-time games. And even with this talent on this Longhorns team, it's going to be very hard, in my opinion, to get 10 wins. So let's see what they can do. Week 1, we're not going to waste your time. Win for the Longhorns. Then you have a big-time non-conference game. Definitely a top 3 non-conference game throughout the entire season, as Texas hosts Alabama. And I mentioned this in the Alabama video. Texas is going to keep this close because this heat's going to be crazy. And I think the depth is going to be a big key in this game. Alabama, I think, has more depth than Texas on both sides of the ball. Maybe Texas is better on offense. I'm not saying it. But Alabama's depth on defense is way better than Texas. They overall have a better defense than Texas. I know these are two high-flying offenses, but don't be surprised if this game is low scoring. This is going to be a loss for the Longhorns, though. Next week, host UTSA, and man, this is not an easy game for anybody. UTSA almost won the Conference USA last year, but that was given to Western Kentucky. But UTSA is going to be the clear favorites of the Conference USA, and they definitely have top 25 potential as we go into the year. But I think overall, the talent on Texas is too much. Don't be surprised if this is a little closer than the people anticipate. Texas should win this by relatively a good margin, though. And then you get in the conference play, and for both of these games, they should both be wins as you go to Lubbock to face the Red Raiders, and then you host West Virginia. I think that Texas Tech game could be a little stumble, as it seems for years and years Texas and Texas Tech are a little too close for comfort, besides last year where Texas absolutely abused them. But I think this is going to be a little bit closer. This is going to be the statement game for Joey McGuire as he heads into Lubbock for his first year. Texas is going to win this game, same thing with West Virginia. And now after you start 5-1, you have the Red River Rivalry as you face the Oklahoma Sooners. And as I just talked about in my last video, I think the coaching staff is going to be the key point of this game. Texas probably leans with the talent a little bit, but Oklahoma has enough talent to keep it close. Overall, I just think Brett Venables and Jeff Lebby are going to outcoach this entire Texas staff. Close game like always. Oklahoma wins this game though. And then after you have a disappointing loss versus the Sooners, you host Iowa State. If this was at Ames, maybe an upset, but this is at Austin. I think after losing to Oklahoma, Texas is going to just abuse Iowa State. I would not be surprised if Texas wins this game by 20. Now we're getting to a pretty tough stretch here. The first one of those games, you go to Stillwater and play the Oklahoma State Cowboys. If this was last year, I would say Oklahoma State 100%. They actually went to Austin last year and beat y'all. I think Texas is going to remember that game because after that game, that's when the fall off really seemed to happen for Texas. Like, you did lose Oklahoma, but then after that Oklahoma State game, it was like, okay, we kind of suck. I think Texas is going to keep that in the back of their minds, and this one wins. Maybe this is an upset. I'm not a big fan of Oklahoma State. But Texas wins this game. And now you go into a bye. And now you have probably the biggest trap game on this schedule at Kansas State. And for the majority of these predictions, the trap game on their schedule, I have the team barely winning. This is not one of those instances. I'm a big fan of this Kansas State team. I think the offense is going to be great in this one. And I think the Wildcats are going to upset the Longhorns. Yes, it's going to be a close game. Either way, I think this is going to be a close game if Texas wins or Kansas State wins. Kansas State pulls out on top. As Chris Kleiman proves, this Kansas State team is legit as they enter November. And then after that game, you host TCU. I'm not a big fan of TCU. I'm going to keep on saying it as we go through these Big 12 predictions. Texas wins, maybe in the same fashion as they beat Oklahoma. No, as they beat Iowa State very badly. We'll see about that, though. Now, the final road of your regular season is at Kansas, and man, Kansas went into Austin last year and pulled off one of the craziest upsets last season. Texas is going to keep that in the back of their minds as they do return a lot of players that were in that game last year. Steve Sarkisian especially is going to have this game prepared, and yes, maybe Kansas will be improved. This is not going to be enough. Texas wins this one. And then the final game of the season, you host the Baylor Bears. This game could potentially decide if you are in the Big 12 championship or not, as Oklahoma's probably locked their seed up by this point. And probably the winner of this game will go to Arlington. And I am a huge fan of Dave Aranda. I'm a big fan of Blake Shapen. I'm a big fan of this defense. But I'm going to go with my gut here. I think Texas wins a close game. Personally, I think Texas has a little too much talent for the Baylor Bears. Yes, Dave Aranda's always prepared each and every week, But Steve Sarkisian is going to want to go to the Big 12 championship at least this year after not even making a bowl game last year. I think at this point, this offense is going to be flowing after 2 upset losses. Well, not even upset losses, but 2 just losses versus Oklahoma and Kansas State. I think by this point in the season, they're going to have guns blazing. They're going to be unstoppable, and it's going to be a little too much for Dave Aranda as Texas beats the Baylor Bears. And to end the season, I have Texas going 9-3 this season with losses at home versus Alabama, a neutral site game versus Oklahoma, and then a road game in conference play versus Kansas State. Now, you could easily lose at Oklahoma State. You can easily lose home versus Baylor. Man, you can even have an upset loss to Texas Tech. And then you can also go to Kansas State, beat the Wildcats, and then you can also beat your rivals in Oklahoma. But this overall prediction is more about the specific record. So what is your prediction for Texas as we head into the season? Let me know in the comments section below. And like always, like, share, subscribe, turn post notifications on so you don't miss any of my predictions. Oregon's going to be later today. And yeah, like always, have a good day. Peace out.